Tempers flaring as hundreds of San Diegans are hashing out one of San Diego's biggest issues, short-term vacation rentals. Good afternoon, I'm Kimberly Hunt. And 10 News reporter Allison Ash is live at the City Council meeting. Allison, this is expected to take hours before the City Council votes on anything tonight.
Absolutely. This has been a marathon session. It all began at about noon today, and you can see it is still going strong. Lots of passion on both sides of the issue. A full house. Everybody talking about the mayor's revised plan to allow short-term rentals. Now, Mayor Faulconer is proposing regulations and enforcement, and staff says his short-term vacation rental proposal could bring in as much as $20 million in revenue per year. Now, people on the other side of the issue say this is all about quality of life. They say short-term renters are noisy. They don't care about the families who live permanently in those neighborhoods. People in favor of the short-term rentals argue it is their right. Many of them standing at the podium saying that renting out rooms or the whole house help them stay afloat financially in a very expensive San Diego. Here is a sampling of both sides.
This is a cancer. It is decimating the neighborhoods and the quality of life and what residential property is in our town.
Having my short-term rental helps me live. I've invested thousands of dollars of my savings, which was going to be my retirement, into fixing up my home. I don't have frat boys coming and staying. This is where I live.
Council members will continue to hear that testimony from both sides until everybody is done speaking. They expected a total of about 5 hours of testimony, and then they'll start discussing what to do about short-term rentals. Now, of course, we're going to be here for this whole thing, so we'll let you know what happened, but we also want to tell you that there was a little bit of an emergency out there. A man went up to the podium. He was in favor of short-term rentals, and he seemed to lose his thoughts for a moment and then keeled over, passed out. Everything came to a standstill. Paramedics had to come in. The man is okay, but he was taken to the hospital, and he did not ever get a chance to have his voice heard, but many others on his side of the issue have spoken. We're glad he's okay. Again, we'll be here until a decision is made. Reporting live from City Hall, Allison Ash, 10 News.
Yeah, we're glad he's all right as well. Thank you, Allison. And you can count on 10 News to be at tonight's meeting on short-term rentals until it ends. And if the City Council makes a decision, we'll send a breaking news alert through our free 10 News app. A major move today by a San Diego judge, a big decision coming at a hearing over migrant parents and children separated at the U.S.-Mexico border. 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo was in the courtroom with what the ACLU is calling a victory. Laura?
Yeah, and the move came at the very beginning of the hearing. Judge Dana Sabra ordering the government to temporarily stop the deportations of families. He ordered them to allow parents and their children to have at least a week's worth of time to decide whether or not they're going to pursue asylum or go back to their countries after reuniting. Judge Dana Sabra reminded the administration that the reunifications need to happen quickly. The government said the deportation halt could slow the process because housing the families instead of sending them back would create a lack of space. The judge saying slowing down reunifications is, quote, not an option, ordering them to make space.
What the judge said is that they should continue with reunifications even if the parent has a removal order. And this way the parent and the child will have some time to talk over whether the child should stay in the country to fight their immigration case still.
Right now, 2,551 children over 5 still aren't with their parents. Roughly 1,300 have already cleared and are ready to go. The government admitted they don't know who the parents are for 71 of the children in their custody. Judge Sabra also speaking to the administration for the first time since they filed a declaration late Friday about the vetting process. In that declaration, Health and Human Services said speeding up the process would put children at risk. The judge said reading the declaration was, quote, exasperating, and that it was, quote, inviting a process of delay at the expense of the children and parents. In an attempt to be more transparent, the government brought in HHS Commander Jonathan White to explain the process of why some of the parents might require more vetting for things like parental verification or danger to the child. And Commander White invited Judge Sabra to visit one of these facilities where the children are staying. Now, coming up at 5, I'll tell you why that invitation seemed to backfire. In the newsroom, Laura Acevedo, 10 News.
Let's take a look at that lineup for today. And fears over tariffs and dry weather, they are creating more stress than ever for farmers. Now, that's on top of the fact that they already face some of the highest suicide rates of any job. So only here on the Now today, one farmer is sharing her struggle. And we'll also get what's being done to address this issue. Plus, CVS apologizing after this white manager called police on a black customer. It was all over a coupon. That fallout's continuing today. And we have new numbers showing a growing number of people as young as 45 experiencing memory loss. So we're checking into what you can do to keep your mind in shape. Plus, just call today Black Friday in July because it's Amazon Prime Day. Other big name stores, they are also getting in on these deals. But the question here, are these deals really worth it? We're going to get answers on that so you don't waste your money.
And we have incredible news tonight out of Hawaii, where a lava bomb came crashing onto a sightseeing boat. We have some pictures that just came in a little while ago. Look at this. You can see that it went right through the metal, a massive hole in the vessel where that molten lava tore through that metal part of the boat. And then in our next shot, chunks of volcanic rocks could be seen all over the deck. 23 people were injured in this, according to the Hawaii County Fire Department. One woman apparently in serious condition with a broken thigh. I want to take you to some other pretty incredible video. Look at this. This is from a guy who was working on another tourism boat nearby, and you can see the explosion that caused this. It happened just off of the Big Island. Lava had been oozing into the ocean, which created this explosive system, sending that molten rock into the air. Again, 23 people injured in this, many of the passengers with burns, cuts, and scrapes. Chris.
Today, President Trump accepting Russian leader Vladimir Putin's denials of meddling in our election. The president saying that he sees no reason why Russia would interfere. Well, the Now's Corey Rangels following the developments from the leader's private talks today.
President Donald Trump appeared to publicly side with Russia's president over his own intelligence agencies when asked about Russia's interference in the 2016 presidential election.
I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today.
U.S. intelligence officials have repeatedly concluded Russia took actions to interfere in the presidential election. And just 3 days ago, President Trump's own administration charged 12 Russians with cyber hacking to try and influence the election. President Trump's Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats, raised the alarm on future cyber threats against the U.S., going as far as comparing them to the warning signs ahead of the September 11th attacks.
Nearly 2 decades later, and I'm here to say the warning lights are blinking red again. In regards to state actions, Russia has been the most aggressive foreign actor. No question.
Yet despite this, President Trump stood on the world stage and raised doubts over his own intelligence community and supported Vladimir Putin's denial.
People came to me, Dan Coats came to me and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be.
When asked about it, President Putin publicly denied Russia's involvement, but did admit he wanted Trump to win the election. For The Now, I'm Corey Rangel.
Corey, thank you. Let's get over to the Now news feed, keeping you updated on some big stories and not wasting your time doing it. We start in Chicago, where today community activists calling for more body cam footage to be released of a police shooting that happened over the weekend. Now, they did release some footage of that deadly shooting. The man, he had a handgun in his holster. Activists say, though, it doesn't answer the question as to why police approached him in the first place. Wilmington, Delaware, looking into its rules after Muslim children were told to stay out of a city pool. Now, it was because of their clothing. The city denied the children because they had said that wearing cotton in water strains the pool's filter and is a safety risk. Now, we could be getting some help with airplane seat sizes. A bill in Congress would set minimum requirements for seat size. It's also a safety issue. Supporters, they want to make sure that people have room to get off the plane in case of an emergency. All right, let's get back to our lineup here. Interesting story. CVS apologizing after a white manager called police on a black customer. This was all over a coupon. Well, the fallout's continuing today. We'll get into that next. You're watching The Now.